We have gone into Canada, and today we're going to be highlighting some of the issues that you have when driving in Canada, and we're going to show you how to take care of those with the RV Life app that actually is on your phone. Makes life a lot simpler. That's what we're going to be showing you today. And for those of you that don't have a subscription to RV Life yet, remember we do have our 25% off coupon, Tigner 25. Hi everyone, welcome to Tigner Adventures. Like I said in the intro, hey, we have now gone into Canada. And so, when you're in Canada, they are on a whole different type of system here. It's called metric. Yeah, I haven't ever used metric before. And if you look right here on the trip planner software for designing our trip, you can see our whole trip is listed here for this summer, 184 nights, just over 8,000 miles, and a number of those miles are up here in Canada. And so we have entered just above North Dakota. We arrived at our first gas station to get gas, and this is how the experience went. So I filled up with gas, our first stop in Canada, 139.699 liters at $1.57 per liter. How many liters in a gallon? How many liters are there in 1 gallon?
3.79 liters.
Okay, so if we take 139, so that's okay when you're just sitting somewhere and you want to check this out. That works out okay. But what happens when you're driving? Well, hey, let's back up for just a minute. I want to show you on the trip planner software here. Up here at the top left is a little wrench. And I just want to point this out. If you go into trip tools here and you go down to trip settings, down here at the bottom here, it says imperial or metric. Now, if I change this to metric, I just want to show you what that looks like as far as the trip is concerned. Instead of showing miles per hour here, it's now kilometers per hour, and you can see how that is all listed down here. So that is great when you're doing the trip planning if you are used to that. So if you're Canadian or you're used to using the metric system, this works out very nice for planning your the route and kind of knowing how that how metric works with every place that you're going, because that's what you're used to working with. In our case, we're used to working with imperial, so that's why we always leave it on the imperial setting. However, one thing that you need to understand is in the app though that you run on your phone or tablet or whatever to navigate with, does not take the settings from this in the case of imperial or metric. It's something that you set in the app itself. So we're going to look at the app. So let's bring up the app, and I'm going to show you how this all works, and this is pretty cool. I'm running the app on my phone, and in this case I'm using an iPhone. So I'm going to start up the app here, and the first thing it brings up is the nearby campgrounds. It has other things in there, other features. Sometimes it'll show the gas, the rest stops. I mean, all this information shows up on the very first screen. But if you've logged into this app with the ID and password you use for TripWizard, then what we want to do is click on trip here, and it will actually bring up the trip that we had planned in TripWizard. So I'm going to go ahead and just select this trip. This is our summer trip right here. Since this isn't a planned date of departure, then it brings up the whole list of my whole trip. But if it was a planned date of departure, the only thing I would see here to start with would just be where I'm going today. So I could choose that. So in this case, I've just arrowed down to the bottom down here. I'm staying in the Spruce Grove campground right now, and we are going to be headed to the border. So I'm going to just select that option, and it will actually load up that GPS setting. Now I have the option to either match my planned trip exactly how I planned it out, or let it renegotiate that. So I'm going to just select match my trip plan exactly. That's what I normally do. It gives me a preview of it. It tells me it's going to take me 2 hours and 21 minutes to get there. So I just go ahead and select this option to get started.
Route recalculation. After 800 feet, turn right onto Spruce FRTG Grove and then turn left.
Okay, got my instructions. But what if I want this to be in metric? If you notice down here on the bottom of the screen next to where it says stop, I actually have some options that I can choose right there. And if I click on that, here's all the different things that I can actually do from this setting. I have different things on here that I want the app to do for me as it's navigating. So I want voice navigation. I can set the volume of the voice, and in this case I've set it to loud because I want to hear it. And then also the map options. In this case I'm using the auto route, but I could also set this up to be a satellite view of what's going on in the area, so I see the trees and lakes and all that information. But here I just have it set up in auto. And the next thing is the speed limit. Yes, I want the speed limit to be on, and I want to get speed alerts so that if I'm going over the speed limit, it lets me know. And I'm going to have, in this case, I don't care if north is up or down or whatever. I want it to point the direction that I'm actually driving. And so that's not always going to be north. So that kind of messes you up a little bit. So I actually have that turned off. And then in this case, we want to show different landmarks as we're driving around. I want to see those. I kind of like to see what the name of the lakes or rivers are that we're driving by. So I have that turned on. And then right here at the bottom is the units option. And this is where I have it set to imperial. But watch when I change this to metric. And then I go ahead and exit out of my navigation setups. You'll notice that it has now changed everything to be metric. So at the bottom here you can see it's 185 kilometers to our destination, and it will take 2 hours and 20 minutes.
After 250 meters, turn right onto Spruce FRTG Grove and then turn left.
So this is pretty cool for just, setting it all up. But what about when you're driving down the road and it says, hey, you're supposed to be going 100 kilometers per hour. That's the maximum speed limit, as you can see here. Well, guess what? I have no clue what that is. And when I'm looking at my little notches that are on my speedometers, whether I'm in my car or my RV, it doesn't matter. Is it like the sun isn't bright enough to shine on that, or I'm going blind, I don't know what, but I can't. Those little numbers are really tough to see when you're sitting 3 feet back from the speedometer. So anyway, look how the app just automatically translates that. So 100 kilometers actually translates to 62 miles per hour. So it automatically puts that up there. And it all tells me how many miles I've got to go between my next thing. It's all based on imperial, not metric. And the same thing happens, as I'm going into towns or the speed limit starts reducing. Here we have 50 kilometers maximum, and then you can see that actually on the TripWizard app, it's changed that to 31 miles per hour. Now I think that's pretty cool. So one thing is, I've always said that I always think that RV TripWizard and the RV Life app, nobody does what they do. And this is just one example of that. I checked all the other different ones, tried them all out. And the thing I found was they all mimic, what the speed sign says. So 100 kilometers per hour. I actually found a couple of them that showed it as 100 miles or 100 kilometers per hour, but then showed the distance and mileage. So, it wasn't even consistent. So, and none of them have that option where you can switch back and forth. So I really like this. And so that's pretty cool. I also showed you the option to monitor your speed, if you're over, to alert you. So this is what it shows like when it actually alerts you. So this is pretty cool, especially on these slower speeds. So the other thing that I wanted to bring up was how this works in an offline mode. I tested this on the other apps. I ran through different scenarios. I only found one that actually allowed you to download the maps so that you had them available to you. The rest of them did not, and even the one that had it so you could download it, after so many miles, which was like 60-70 miles, all of a sudden the screen went blank because it didn't have the maps for it anymore. It still had a line, it was still directing you, but it didn't have any scenery or tell you what's going on. So I want to show you how this works on the RV Life app, because this is pretty nice. So the first thing you do is you go into your trips, and you're going to go ahead and select your trip, and you can see right here that I've already downloaded. At the top third of the screen here it says tap to download. I've already downloaded all my maps for this whole trip, and right under that it says manage your maps, and by going to the more area. So what we're going to do is we're just going to hit the back arrow up above where it says trip overview, and then we're going to click on more at the bottom right hand screen. Now there's all kinds of cool things in this more section, different reviews, your campground history, all that good stuff. But what we're looking for is this offline storage. So we're going to click on offline storage, and you'll see that we have all the different states and Canada and Mexico all listed right here. And I haven't kept this up to date very good, so you should be downloading updated content because they're always making changes and things. So if you download this updated content, we want to make sure that we're current. Then it will actually just start updating all of the different states that I've actually downloaded, or provinces and things like that. So, and then when it's done, of course, it'll just say, hey, we're done. So at that point, we'll just say okay. And now we have our list of USA, Canada, Mexico. So here we'll go ahead and just select USA, and you'll see that up on the top there I have all these red states all listed there. Those are all the ones that I've actually downloaded. Those are the states that we're going to be touching during this trip. And so I've downloaded all of those, and you can see as we look down through the list here, we have a bunch of different ones here. And you know what? We're not using Nebraska anymore. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove Nebraska because we're past that, because that way I don't use up all my space on my phone. So you can manage everything with that just right here. It's really pretty cool. You can download more states if you want, but all of this then works in offline mode. So then now if we look at Canada, it's going to be the same thing. All the little red things on the right hand side are the ones that have been downloaded, and those are ready to be used in offline mode. The nice thing about that, when you're downloading, like you're downloading the whole state, you're getting everything about that state, all the different lakes, creeks, all that kind of things that you said that you wanted to track. It downloads all of that, and so you don't take a chance of getting somewhere and not having the map there when you have no service. And just to prove this, let's look at this, because up in Canada we ran into a lot of areas that did not have service, and it was really tough as far as getting internet and everything. I mean, we'd have 3 or 4 bars of 5G, but no data. Just because you have bars don't mean you have data. We'd have no data. So if you look at the top of my screen here, top right corner, you'll see that my phone is in satellite mode, meaning I have no internet available to me. And so I'm going to go ahead and bring up RV Life. I'm going to go into my trip here, and I'm going to go ahead and just select the trip and go ahead and navigate to my spot. Match my route just like I normally do, and it does everything. So it's really nice when you're out traveling around. You may have service when you first start, and then you get somewhere, and then the next morning you get up and you want to start out again, and all of a sudden your maps don't work anymore. You don't know where you're supposed to go. You don't have to worry about this with RV Life. Now, one little tip for those of you that are our Canadian friends, you can actually change that to metric mode when you're in the US, and it will translate all the US speed limits to metric. So then you'll be going by kilometers, and so when your speedometer shows predominantly kilometer, it'll make it a lot easier for you too as you're traveling. So yeah, anyway, just a little tip there. So it's a really cool app. Really love using it. It's the best way for us to get around, and we're doing that RV safe routes so that we don't get in bad situations, which we have in the past with other things. So that's pretty cool. And just a reminder, if you are not already subscribed to RV Life, then you really want to check it out soon, because prices always are going up on different things, and they do have a price increase coming. They have not raised their prices for a number of years now, and so if you get in there now, besides saving the 25% with our Tigner 25% discount coupon, you also lock your price in if you set up for auto renew at this rate right now, $59. So that's the cool thing about getting set up right now and locking that rate in. But anyway, that concludes this video, and hopefully that it's been some help to you, and it'll kind of give you an idea how this actually works. It's a pretty nice app. I think RV Life in general as a company has done very, very well, especially for their size. It's amazing what they've accomplished, and it just makes life a lot easier when you're on the road. So with that said, I'm going to say my goodbyes. Thanks for following along. Thanks for watching the video. And if you have any more requests of videos and things, please put those in the comments below. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, and make comments, and share it with your friends. We really do appreciate that. So hopefully we'll see you down the road somewhere, and if we don't, then we'll just see you on our next video. So take care.